Josh Ritter, welcome back to eTown. Good to have you here, man. Sounds good.
Thank you for having us.
You have been busy. Congratulations on your novel, Bright's Passage. I know when we first met years ago, you were intent on becoming a novelist.
Yeah, I had it in my mind.
Yeah. And it's hard, isn't it?
It's way harder than I thought, and that was pretty hard to begin with. It was something that I found was when I wrote that first draft. You know, I wrote it mostly while we were on tour, and it was such a freeing thing to not have to deal with meter and rhyming. And I thought, well, this is going to be a snap, you know. And then I got around to the second draft, and then I realized where I had gone wrong, and that was starting to begin with, and it was really exciting.
Yeah, well, it works out well. I think particularly if you have somebody like Stephen King saying that your writing reminds him of Ray Bradbury at his best. That's a pretty good start.
Thank you.
And there's something I'd forgotten about the whole role that Glenn Hansard and the Frames played in your early sort of launch of getting started as a singer-songwriter. But there's something very Irish about the music and literature and this connection. But they did help, right, Glenn and the Frames?
When I was getting started, I was playing open mics in Boston, and I was temp working in Providence, Rhode Island, at like a luggage factory and a landfill and a baby clothes factory, and I was doing all these things, and then I would go up and I would play these open mics, and I did that for about 2 years, and then I met
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to imagine what your resume looked like that the temp place would send you to the landfill and a luggage factory and a baby clothes place. I mean, what skill sets were they really looking for?
I was saying, whatever it is, I can only work, and I can work 2 weeks at a time, and then I got to go out and I got to try and be on the road, so I ended up with jobs that were usually in the basement of basements of hospitals. And you know, I would go and I would play these open mics, and at this one I met Glenn. He was down the street playing, and he invited me to come over to Ireland, and I took him up on it, and I think I surprised him when I showed up, you know. Yeah. And from there on, you know, it was really a wonderful relationship with the Irish. You know, their verbal technology is light years ahead of us.
No kidding. Well, they also and the audience pays attention to that. Yeah. They're skilled listeners.
It's a great place to play music.
The land of literature and music and Guinness, and you fit right in. Are you Irish? Kind of. Do you have any Irish ancestry?
I don't have any, but I'm working towards it.
Yeah.
You know.
I think about but that combo, the sort of restlessness of your interests, you know, the songs, stories, painting. Are you just somebody who just really likes to just make stuff and keep going? Is it hard to slow down?
It's really when I find that when I'm not doing something, my brain just gets hot, and you just get uncomfortable, and for me, finding something like painting when I did was really or writing was a way of unpacking all the stuff in my head, and kind of, I think about it like a yard sale. You put it out on the street, you know, so that so that it doesn't drive you crazy, and like, luckily that's something that I really enjoy doing, you know.
Yeah. Well, and now you've got a couple kids, so it's probably even that's sort of more things to occupy your time and your brain.
Yeah. I didn't know what was going to happen to writing and things when I first had my daughter B, and about 5 years ago. But what really happened was that her very existence and just the needs that she had, she constrained my time so that the times that I spent writing were shorter but more they were more fun, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's a much more it's a richer.
It became more precious.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a couple things about being a dad and storms, because your latest record called The Gathering, it's kind of a stormy record. We can still say stormy, just so you know.
Yeah.
And it's there's lots of storm references. Lots of storm references in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not, you know, you don't want to yield too much language ultimately, right?
Yeah.
Hang on to it. And even in your painting, it seems like you like to paint landscapes that have inclement weather and dramatic clouds and stuff like that.
I think that one of the interesting things about working and putting out art, is that it reflects the time period that it's in, no matter what, and making music right now, making art is a survival tactic. We're living in perilous times, and the music and the art, and I think everything that if you're doing it, if you're writing down it as quickly as you can, the things that are coming to you, then you're not taking time. You're not editing out all that stuff, and so you get this blend of what the world is, and if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what makes art so fascinating, is that it's such a product of the time that it's made.
And what does that have to do with stormy? I'm just trying to figure.
Well,
that
I just
out.
think that we're living
in stormy times.
We are living in inclement weather.
Inclement weather.
Yeah. Absurd meteorological events.
No kidding. Yeah. And of course, now that you're a dad, and you're thinking about that in a sort of a different, longer view, a multiple generational view now, thinking about meteorological extraordinary events and things like that, does that make you want to dive in deeper and change? I mean, here we are, at Appalachian State, and there's a lot of talk about energy and about climate and so on. Does that make you get more engaged now that you're a dad?
Oh, it makes you think about it in whole new ways. Yeah.
In case you just tuned in, you're listening to eTown here with Josh Ritter. We've got more music to play. I want to mention just a couple more things. Bob Weir is somebody you've been collaborating with a little bit. I know you co-wrote and wrote some songs from his last record, Blue Mountain.
Yeah.
How did that come about, that connection? You seem so clean cut somehow.
Well, I was like...
He's pretty fuzzy.
Yeah. He's a remarkable guy. Like my friend and guitar player Josh Kaufman was working with him on something, and Bob brought up to him that he wanted to make a record of cowboy songs that reminded him of growing up in his time in Wyoming, and Josh told me this, and I was in an airport lounge, and I said, just please let me, this sounds like the most fun thing ever to write. So I said, just please let me send him something. And so I wrote some songs on the plane and sent them off to him to see if he liked any of them. And he didn't like those ones, but we got into the ones that it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Does that mean because you've collaborated with Bob Weir, you now have more deadheads at your shows?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I know you went back to Moscow, Idaho. You played a benefit down there at your high school, right? Not too long ago.
Yeah.
And that must have made the kids think you were even cooler, right? It's like, oh yeah, he's cool. He hangs out with Bob Weir.
Oh man, walking into your old high school is terrifying. You're immediately a foot shorter and more awkward, and it was terrifying just to walk through those halls.
Wow. Was it just the visceral sense of going back to that time in your life, and the way things smell, and the way the wax on the floors and all that stuff?
The smell of a locker.
Yeah. Oh wow. That's an attractive thought.
Yeah.
But they must be really proud of you, Moscow, Idaho.
I feel so proud to be from that wonderful little town. It's such a part of my music, and a part of it's really in my blood. I feel very lucky to be from somewhere.
Yeah. I bet the people here in Boone have that same feeling.
Hell yeah.
No, but I know what you mean. I mean, a lot of people move around, and they maybe go to different schools, or their parents move for jobs and stuff. So to have that really deep identity, this one place, because I remember when you were first starting out 20 years ago, Moscow, Idaho was like a different place to be from for a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
I think you were the only one.
I always felt so like being the Idaho is like such a special place, and the landscape there, and just the forces that are a part of that area has always been something that I think the way the storms roll in, the way they like set the wheat chaff on fire in the fall, and like, you know, the apples. It's a pretty sensual place to be from.
Yeah, one wouldn't normally think that, I don't think. But it sounds like
we grow a lot of lentils.
Yeah.
So the romance is there.
All right, well, we'll have to do a live show from Moscow, Idaho sometime and check it out. Meanwhile, thanks for being here with us. Let's get back to music. Welcome back, if you would, Josh Ritter.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Nick Forster from eTown. If you want to stay up to date with all the performances, interviews, and behind-the-scenes footage, click the subscribe button. Thanks.